Is that okay with you guys?
Sure.
Okay. Try to give you some gifts and all that stuff. Who was in the Point Mma workout yesterday? Did y'all like the workout?
Oh,
It's good. All right, thank you. All right, so we have some sheets that we gave you. We're going to cover these points. It's called the 10 points of Point Mma. I like to always cross-reference things. That's what I learned from my instructor. So we talk about the. We all know that right now, one of the fastest growing sports is MMA. It's not going anywhere. It's just constantly building. Now it's on, Fox TV. We see all these things happening. They predict that in China and Japan, it's going to grow faster in the Asian countries than what it's growing here in the United States. But I come from a traditional martial arts school, and one of the things. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You have a gift from the chick, t-shirt, and all that stuff. I come from a traditional martial art based training in China and all those things, and also coming up on the sports karate circuit, where I know for a school, as a school owner, hey sir, as a school owner, and also as a father, I will never have anyone standing up in my martial arts school with tattoos, earrings, and anything that contradicts the image that I'm setting for my children. All of my children are in martial arts. My oldest son, he's a world champion. My little babies, I do not want them to represent anything. So I love MMA, but I don't like the culture of MMA. So when I look at sports karate always been a wholesome thing. When we talk about freestyle sparring, it's always something that was like the core element of martial arts. But how many martial arts schools teach sparring anymore? None. Most people go in and get black belts and their kids can't even do a kick or a punch. Or you go and do a seminar and you tell somebody to hit a fighting stance, they cannot even do a proper fighting stance. So when the average consumer see MMA, of course, they're drawn to it because it's like fighting. You might not want to fight, but you enjoy fighting. And if you can fight safely, what would you think most people would do? They would go out there and they would fight safely. So when we look at that MMA component, but then we also let's look at the really crazy extreme things where in our industry, at one time, the traditional martial arts, what you guys did yesterday in that workout, when I kicked you up, and beat you up, and got in your face, how many people remember that being old school martial arts? Your instructor was in your face, drop down, give me 25, give me 100. Well, when you go to a gym, we also have a program in the gym called Lifetime Gym. It's one of the fastest growing family gyms. You should see what the trainer's doing to people. People want to get on a treadmill and go to 16 if they can. People want to be challenged. You dealing with a society with so much stress and pressure, people want to be challenged. They don't care about winning. It's like when they walk away, they want to feel like, whoa, I did it. Now I can take over the world. That stress doesn't matter anymore. But now they come to martial arts schools, that ain't happening no more. You're giving them belts easy. We tell them everybody wins. You tell little Johnny, when that bully comes up to you, stand up, Johnny, you can take him. And Johnny is shooting out all these philosophical things, but his body doesn't represent. We all know that anything that deals with that positive body language. So when we talk about the Point Mma program, we talk about the fitness. What we're trying to do is ride off the momentum of CrossFit, ride off the momentum of MMA, ride off the momentum of the mud runs. All these things, we are black belts. When you think of black belt, what society used to look at a black belt as what? Superhuman. Am I right? Anybody, if I'm wrong, raise your hand. Am I correct or am I wrong? Everybody agree with me, raise your hand. Black belt was superhuman. It was the ultimate goal. Now it's a joke. It's a joke. Go out there and ask anybody. It's like, no. And think about this. Let's ask ourselves a question. Can our students, most of those students that we see in the martial arts today, what would they do if they went up against a UFC guy? But that shouldn't be that way. When we think of old school Chuck Norris, Bill Wallace, all those people coming up that way. So it's like we used to be core. People came to us for all those things. We say we teaching character, we teaching discipline, but we know you cannot get character and discipline without being challenged. So is it false? Yes, it's false. We're telling this little kid, Johnny, you got confidence. But Johnny don't really believe he got confidence. Johnny's only doing it because you repeatedly say it over and over. Now when those people, come on, let's think about it. When a kid, when somebody comes to your school right now, and I'm trying to stay on point here. When somebody comes to your school right now and they say, so what can you do? How can you help me grow? They going through the internet and they looking. And the parent looking, going through this, and then right now, what are they comparing it to? UFC. They're comparing whatever you can do. It's not even about the fighting, because no parent wants their kid to go through that, but the fitness. UFC fighters, you know they're fit, they're strong, they're ready to go. You can see it in their body. They got six-packs. Some of you martial artists got six-packs. Now, I'm real. You take classes. You took classes with me. Martial artists shouldn't be smoking cigarettes. Certain things we shouldn't do. You read about an athlete, they can't drink. There's certain things they can't do. That's what Point Mma is trying to get back, promoting that element. So, what's so funny, when we talk about this momentum, I said, how can I do this? And I'm going to tell you a little story. Still waiting for my instructor to come here. I'm doing fine. I love martial arts so much, and I love sparring. I love freestyle sparring. There's my master right there. Everybody, Master Brown.
I'm late. I'm like in good hands, bro.
We were just starting with the first point here, Master Brown. That was great. So I'm gonna tell you a little story. I believe that the whole world should benefit from martial arts. I want my students to be able to play basketball, football. We're not in competition with those sports that you say we are. Because if you can bring in, if you working on sparring and you give a little kid a little dragon, because we don't just do Point Mma in our school, we do a lot of other programs. But when I take a little dragon, I give him a little basketball and I say, dribble the ball. I'm trying to take the ball. And when that little boy starts dribbling the ball, he starts identifying with mine. God, martial art class was good today. We did basketball, and now I can do that same drill on my basketball team. He don't realize I'm teaching him footwork to fight. So I'm trying to be amongst what the general public wants. I don't want to be against them. That's why UFC is growing. It's compatible to what everybody's looking at. So my little story is when I'm thinking about all this, I'm saying, man, I know this is big. I believe in it so much. But I can't tell my wife what I'm thinking about. I couldn't even tell you because you'll tell me I'm crazy. So I said, I'm going to try out for Shark Tank. I got 30 seconds. The guy said, you got 30 seconds. You got to go in there and try out for Shark Tank. Now, anybody know what we normally do? We just go crazy. We do all these, well, y'all know, y'all was in class, so we get crazy. But how can I get that energy across in 30 seconds? I had 30 seconds. I had to take my 7-year-old son, my oldest son, and a couple of students. So, I got to rehearse. I'm going to say it to you what I was saying, but that day I was pumped, man, and they gave me more than 30 seconds. I was pumped for 30. They said, oh, man, you got 3 minutes. I'm like, man, you messed up. Give me 30 seconds. But I ain't really said it loud, but it was like when I walked through my presentation, I said, hello, Sharks. My name is Willie the Bam Johnson, 7-time world champion, Black Belt Hall of Fame Instructor of the Year, and I'm here with my family and my students to introduce you, Sharks, to a new revolutionary program called Point Mma Crazy Athletics. Here to change the world. It's not just a business, it's a movement. Sharks, we are here to combat obesity, all things negative, with what? A new wholesome family approach to what? The world's fastest growing sport, Point Mma. Let me show you what we got, Sharks. So my students stepped up, sir, and said the students' creed. We did one technique. And if you watch the video that I gave you, they were lost. They were stumbling for the answers that asked me about business. And what was so crazy, before we even did the audition, they asked us to come out and do a separate audition in the back. Why? Because if you see our Point Mma gear, they said, oh my God, this is incredible. Let's put this on in the intro for the new season. So we went to Shark Tank when everybody said it wouldn't work, and we blew their minds. And you know what? You took the class, we only did one of everything I did with you. Now, if you can overwhelm mainstream America with an element like that, what we want to do, I think the whole world should benefit from traditional martial arts. I'm a parent. My kids need to say sir, ma'am, all those things. My little son needs to stand up strong. I don't want him to follow another culture. I want him to be a part of what is it? The traditional martial arts culture that I come from. So that little story was like, I mean, when I finally told my wife what I did, she was like in tears, oh my God, you really made it? 7 days later, they said, you know what, we're going to contact you in 7 days if you made it. I'm trying to act like it really doesn't matter. You can imagine that. I'm trying to just let it go, act like it doesn't matter. I'm in the school working. And then finally my wife get an email that says, you will be on season 6, Shark Tank. I just went crazy. And I say that with emotion because this is not for me, this is for us. Anybody that loves martial arts, I'm talking traditional martial arts. I'm not talking about, and we always did MMA. We just didn't lock people up. We always did that. My instructor taught me that. My instructor fought in the back alleys and all that stuff. Everybody that's a real martial artist did, what is MMA? It ain't no more freestyle sparring. Right or wrong. It's just that when we went to the ground, we stopped. So what we did this for you guys. What we're trying to do is take everybody along for the ride so we can go back, and as my instructor said, I'll let him speak. Don't be surprised. You've seen Anthony Pettis. He's an ATA, traditional Taekwondo stylist. He won the championship with point fighting. He just told you that. He said, my mom said, I can't get hit with no elbows and knees. So she wouldn't let me do the real stuff. But I've been so into the extreme martial arts and the Taekwondo, and as Frank Shamrock said, I can make a gymnast a great MMA fighter. Because you don't have to fight. You just got to be technically correct. Now I'm going back to you. How many schools got students that are technically correct? That can throw a real side kick, a real reverse punch. Out of the 100% of schools right now, be honest, how many of them are really technically correct? 10%? 90%? Is it 90? Come on.
No, 10%.
All right, see, we all agree. What can we do to correct the problem? That's what Point MMA is. Master Brown, we're just talking about the 10 points.
Can I borrow your speech and give that to make that presentation for my superintendent?
You're funny, man. So we just talking about the momentum, the first point.
Yeah. Well, my involvement was, I think Bam actually came to my school because I do the Capital Classics tournament. He said, we gotta put this MMA in the Capital Classics because it's just growing, it's big, and your point tournament's okay, but we've got to get some of the stuff. Everybody's doing this, and I said, well, the truth of it is the reason I didn't put it in because I was scared to death of the boxing commission. I don't know about you guys in your towns, but in Washington D.C., you do not want to have to deal with the boxing commission. First of all, they're going to give you the blues, and then they're going to take everything you got, and they just make it hard for you. I said, I really want to do it. And he said, well, how could we make this happen? I said, well, if you could do the stand-up and kind of make it points, you can do all the fighting and stuff, but you got to make it points. And if you go to the ground, you can do all the mounts, the grab, the pound, you can do everything, but you got to do it with points. You got to give them a point for the hold, or a point for the mount, or a point. If we could just make it, I think it was no knockout, no tap out. If we could just make it point MMA. And I talked to the guy from Baltimore. What was his name? I can't say. Rollo.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
He said, if it ain't knockout, it ain't MMA. Because he had also come to me about putting it in an event. I said, you're right. But how can we incorporate it? Within a day, he got it. He came back and said, yeah, there's no reason we can't do it. We can't do all the techniques, but we just have to incorporate it into points. I explained it to my students and found out they all wanted to do it. Only about 10% really wanted to take the banging, that really wanted to get hit. We had a hardcore group of guys that wanted to bang, and their thing is like, if you don't bring that in, and we have that for them. But for the other guys that just wanted to come into Weekend Warriors, they said, this is something where I can kind of learn it, but you're not going to knock me out. And they kind of got eased into it. So when he came out with it, I looked at it and said, you may have something there. You may have something that schools, the traditional schools, can buy into. They can follow you into this. And then those that want to take it to the next level, they're ready for that also. So that was kind of my involvement, and then he just got burning hot with it. And he was calling me every week and said, we're taking it to this level. Next thing you know, there was shirts, there was gear, there was hats, there was people, and then there was Shark Tank. And I'm saying somebody's gonna get this boy $1 million to blow this thing up. And I'm gonna be in the back curtain, behind the curtain, doing like this.